What's up YouTube? Capital G here, looking at some brand new Cyberdark support coming out of the Duelist Pack Duelist Legend, and dare I say, some of the support is actually good. I am so freaking shocked, and I know a lot of people are probably thinking, Cap G, what's the big deal? An old archetype gets good support. You don't understand. As I said in the first video where I talked about Cyberdarkness Dragon, Cyberdarks are literally one of the top 5 worst archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh history. They're that bad. They're basically like fucking Cloudians and Ice Barrier levels bad. It is even surprising that Konami would make this a deck that actually would function. And yeah, these new cards actually are pretty decent. Like, one of them is just great, but they're collectively pretty good. It's shocking. So I'll talk about the new cards, and then I'll talk about how they interact with the old cards. It's only 3 cards because obviously we've talked about Cyber Darkness Dragon. Spoiler alert, this card is still, even with the new 3 cards, it's still really fucking hard to summon. Like, you're still gonna need to use Future Fusion or some other like really gimmicky shit involving, I don't know, Overload Fusion or something like that. So let's start off with easily the best card. This is Cyberdark Cannon. It is level 3, and what's cool off of the jump is the new Cyberdark monsters are dragon. Thank God Konami did that. I've never thought that it ever made sense for Cyberdarks to be, because these are the old ones. The Cyberdark monsters were originally machines, but you had to run dragons in the deck. That makes no sense at all. So the new Cyberdarks are dragons, thus you don't have to run a bunch of random ass dragons in your deck. So Cyberdark Cannon, it's a dragon. It's level 16, or excuse me, it is level 3, 1600 attack and 800 defense. It says if this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can draw 1 card. That is really good because obviously the original Cyberdarks, they protect themselves by, you know, unequipping or detaching the equipped monsters. So if your monster gets ran over, you basically just detach this and you get to draw a card for your troubles. That's really good. The first effect is so convenient and so good. I believe that each effect is a hard once per turn, by the way. You can discard this card, then add 1 Cyberdark machine monster from your deck to your hand. This is so brilliant, and whoever thought of this, you need a raise at Konami, because this person who designed this card, this is a person who needs to design the future of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. This is so good because basically if you draw a Cyberdark Cannon, you discard it, you search any one of your other 3 Cyberdarks, and then you already have a dragon in the graveyard for them to equip to. That's fucking brilliant. It would be like if you discarded a regular Blackwing, or if you discarded a bear from your hand and it lets you search Wolfbark. Like, that would be brilliant because then you could just normal summon the Wolfbark and you'd have bear in the graveyard to revive it. That's basically what this does. The third effect says if this monster is equipped battles during damage calculation, you can send 1 monster from your deck to the graveyard. That's probably just to send, I guess, another claw. But I mean, if you really want to get spicy, I guess you could run things like Trick Clown and Wolf. I mean, I guess that could work. I don't really think that they would have much synergy outside of that effect, but hey, you know, I guess the sky is the limit. I think that this card is brilliant. Run 3 copies. It's probably the best card so far outside, I mean, in the main deck monsters. Then we have Cyberdark Claw, which is not quite as good as the Cannon. I still think you need to play it because it is a level 3 dragon that is a Cyberdark monster, but it's just honestly not as good as the first card that I just talked about. So if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard and it was equipped to a monster, you can actually add, or you can target a Cyberdark monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. It basically helps you recycle your edge, your heel, your horn, and whatnot. Basically gives you a little more grind potential. That part is not bad. I think that part is perfectly fine. Would I rather have a draw or getting a monster back? I'd probably rather have a draw, honestly, because a draw could be more live turn 1. The second effect is probably what makes this card not nearly as good as Cannon. You can discard this card, then add 1 Cyberdark spell and trap from your deck to your hand. Now, see, if Konami is going to make like 2 or 3 more Cyberdark spells and traps, okay, then, you know, probably these effects are going to be equal. But as of right now, we have this new field spell, which is fine, but you guys know historically decks that have really good field spells all play terraforming, so it's not like decks don't already have ways to get the field spells anyways. And outside of that, the only other Cyberdark spell and trap is Cyberdark Impact, the card that's basically named after the set, much like Duelist Alliance. The problem with Cyberdark Impact is Overload Fusion is basically the same exact thing. Like, it does the same exact thing, and it summons both Cyberdark Fusion monsters, so I don't really see a point of running Cyberdark Impact just because it's searchable now. Overload Fusion is also searchable by cards. Well, I'm a little spoiler alert, this card searches Overload Fusion, so I don't know. I don't think that second effect is really all that useful other than just getting the field spell. The third effect is If a monster this card is equipped to battles, during damage calculation, you can send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. Okay, this is the first thing that came to my mind. Elder Entity Nethys. Why not play this card? It's coming out in the TCG. Basically, it should be here before we get these new Cyberdarks, so why not play this? You attack a monster, you send Nethys from your extra deck to the graveyard, then you get to blow up a card on your opponent's side of the field. Like, it makes sense, and let's be real, you're going to have a lot of space in Cyberdarks anyways. It's not like the extra deck is going to be tight or anything. You only have 2 fucking fusion monsters to run. You're probably going to be playing instant fusion anyways because it is now searchable from the field spell, which I'll talk about in a second. So yeah, why not run Elder Entity Nethys? Even if Norden gets banned, you could still run instant fusion. You can instant fusion out of Nethys, let Nethys die, blow something up on your opponent's side of the field. It actually makes a whole lot of sense. Then let's look at the field spell. So my first reaction is probably, or my first thought would be probably run 3 cannons and 1 claw. That's probably the ratio that I would go for. And then we have Cyberdark Inferno, which is the field spell. Your opponent cannot target Cyberdark effect monsters you control equipped with equip cards with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. So basically, if your Cyberdarks have equip cards, which are the dragons, they essentially become Magispectors. They can't be destroyed by card effects and they can't be targeted. So yeah, they become Magispectors. The second effect is you can target one Cyberdark monster you control, return it to the hand, then immediately after this effect, normal summon one Cyberdark monster. Okay, this effect doesn't make that much sense to me. If it was a quick effect, it would make so much sense. I kind of get it, but unless you have a Cyberdark like one of these guys who loses their equip card because they had to use it for protection, I don't really see why you'd want to just put one of these guys back in your hand to normal summon it again. I don't know. I don't really get that unless it doesn't have its equip card to it, which I don't know. It seems like if it was a quick effect, that would make way more sense. Like if your opponent attacked over it and you gave up the equip card to protect it, then you'd be able to use the effect, bounce it to your hand, and then summon it again. And it's like, bam, I'm back, baby. Like that would be really good. I don't know. That effect seems not really that useful in my opinion. The third effect is if this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 polymerization spell or 1 fusion spell from your deck to your hand. That means future fusion and overload fusion are now searchable in this deck, which I don't know, it kind of like makes Cyberdark Impact not necessary because you can just search Overload Fusion. So I think the field spell is pretty good. I mean, I probably wouldn't run Terraforming or anything for it. Like, it's not that good. Turning your monsters into Magispectors is easily the best part of it. But the reason that these 2 cards are good in the context of Cyberdarks is because, number 1, it solves the problem of having to run random ass dragons in your deck. And number 2, since these guys are 1600 attack, that is really good for the original Cyberdarks. If you guys don't know, the way that Cyberdarks work is you normal summon the machines, and then the machines equip the dragons from the graveyard to themselves, and then they gain the stats of the dragons. Now, since the machines are 800 attack and the dragons are 1600, that means every one of these dudes will become 2400 attack, which that is fucking legitimate. I don't care how you slice it. If I can just normal summon a Cyberdark Horn and it's 2400 attack, that is really, really good. And then obviously when these guys fall off because of protection, then they have to, or you actually get effects. Like this one can, net you a card. This one can add another card back from your graveyard to your hand. If your opponent tries to destroy these guys in battle, you can detach their equips instead. So obviously, you want to get these guys set up first. I think that Cannon is just the best card because Cannon puts itself in the graveyard and it searches a monster, and then you can normal summon and you can have a 2400 attacker, and then if this card goes to the grave, you draw a card and replaces itself anyway. So the future support of Cyberdarks is actually competent. That's surprising. The only thing is they need better spells and traps. Like, this is not enough to make this like a viable competitive deck, but this is definitely a deck that can actually work. Like, you can actually play Cyberdarks and have some fun now and actually make it a competent deck. We'll just have to see if Konami is going to give them a couple more spells and traps to try and tie everything together. Cyberdarkness Dragon is still really impossible to summon though. Like, these new cards don't fix this problem at all. You're still gonna have to use Future Fusion, or they're still gonna have to release something else that makes it a lot easier to summon. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching as always, and subscribe if you have not already.